morning again, and welcome to the Event Tech Pull-Up. My name is Tess, Vismail Event Technologist with iSocial Execution, and my partner in crime is
Keith Johnston with i3 Events.
And we're so happy to have you again. Our listeners and viewers, we are excited about today's show. As you know, we go through some news and wrap up for the week around event technology. And then we have a very special guest for you today. And he is going to focus for us on cybersecurity. And we will surprise you in a bit. So kicking off news is Keith. Take it, Keith.
I actually only have one big thing on the plate today, and it's all of the event.
A big thing.
It is all of the event tech layoffs that are going on. We know, I think last week, Attendify laid off pretty much everybody they have, and then word comes yesterday that Eventbrite has laid off 50% of their staff.
And that is huge. I know Splash did a few layoffs, and it's been a snowball effect. So our hearts and minds go out to our event industry professionals on both the technology side as well as, of course, the hotel side, and then us as planners as well. So, Keith, What do you think about this, and what does it mean? And also, kind of, what do you think the signal is? Because I think the signal is different pre-corona as to after corona.
Yeah, I have a couple of, a couple of things. There are companies that don't need to lay off people because they are cash rich and they're laying off people anyway. And I think that sucks, right? I think, there are a few of the big hotel chains that are laying off people. There are some tech companies that aren't hurting financially that are laying off people. And it's like, really? Why? But then there are some I know that it's a struggle to get through. The company, which translates to a struggle for the people.
I mean, it really does. And I would hope, and we don't know about that really, what kind of severance packages do they have for the people? Did they just go home, you get nothing? Did they all automatically, give them direct deposits of some sort of cash to help as a cash infusion? If we are in the hospitality industry, I am of the thought is that is where we come from first when we are making these types of decisions. And hopefully they went through their due diligence of how can they really create and pivot their business and do things just a little differently.
Yeah. I hope, it is my hope that there are some of the savvy folks, and I actually know a couple of them that are pretty savvy. They're going to spin this off and do their own thing. There are people that work for some of the bigger event tech companies that I've been talking to for a long time, years actually, that have said, someday I'm going to do this. Well, you know what? Do that. Now's the time. And again, I completely understand that it's very difficult to put food on the table, and that always is going to come first. But if for some of these folks that may be in an okay position to go a couple of months, that dream project has been waiting. Get it going. Actually, get it going, and then they can come here and we'll help them promote it.
Absolutely, all day long. I know we only have a couple minutes before our guest actually tries to enter the room, but when you're thinking, Keith, what is one of the things you think event tech companies could have done differently? And not saying instead of laying off, but prior to it, because if we're 3 weeks roughly into this,
I don't know. I don't know, because each company is different, right? So each one has, each one has different, I know that Attendify has always pretty much run lean and mean, right? That's kind of how they are. So, why they laid off folks compared to larger companies, like an Eventbrite, who knows? But some things that, I don't know. That's a huge question. I don't know what they could have done differently. A lot of companies, right? What could we all have done differently? I think the one place where we failed this time around is everyone has been riding the high of the economy and no one was saving for a rainy day, I guess, right? No, everyone, because it was booming. There was no end in sight, right? And then this completely came along, and it changed the entire world.
Right. And we have to look at, we have to think of things differently. Like that whole big thing of cash reserves and how long do you have to live around cash reserves? I know it's usually a business decision as to whether you keep your doors open or not.
I think a lot of companies have forgotten that the number one thing, their number one asset is their people.
Yeah, it really is. I wonder if they're holding spaces for people. When things change, maybe slowly integrating them back, helping them find different positions. Like, I don't know, like I just, for some reason, are thinking about that movie that George Clooney was in, which I cannot believe. The Cleaner, the Fixer. He was a million miler, but he was a million miler. Like, I wish I was a million miler. And he went through that process of having to lay people off for large companies. But what kind of packages are in place, per se, to just say, are you helping promote them? Are you taking a little time out of your marketing efforts to say, here, we have a great staff. We had to let them go, but these people are really wonderful and could provide these kinds of services. So what do you think about that? So Paul Keith is going to rejoin us, and we're getting ready for our next segment.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's telling me my internet's unstable again, so I might be dropping.
Oh, wow. Well, then let's go ahead and have you join us on phone. So we are
so far I'm good. So far I'm good.
Well, as a backup, so as event technologists, we know things happen around technology, and it requires patience for us to get ready and to learn about, what people say, the patience of Job, if you will. If it goes wrong, what happens in the pause? Are you able to recover in the pause? Is your audience upset and disgruntled?
The patience of Job, that was like profound.
That's what people say, right? But no, literally, like what happens? And I think, we should do a segment on that one, Keith. Like, what do you do with the, like, we should call it the pause, an episode.
Yeah, and that's a really good
and talk
point,
about, like, get a, like, maybe we should get like 2 people on to talk to at the same time about what do you do with the pause? What happened? When the tech breaks, especially because we're on virtual, it's totally different than when we were face to face. We could cover up a whole lot.
One thing is never panic.
Yeah.
And I will tell, if my internet connection does fail, this is ready to go.
What is that? Show us.
Phone.
Oh, somebody's at the door. Who's at the door? Let's see. I think it's our guest for the day. Good morning. How are you? We're going to let our guest come in today. Hi.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Wonderful. So we are on the Event Tech Pull-Up, and we are so happy to have you. For our listeners and our viewers, we have Keatron. Did I say that wrong? Or Keatron? Did I say that?
Keatron is good.
Keatron Evans. And he is managing partner at KM Cybersecurity. And we have him on for a few reasons, but our number one reason is we are event technologists in the meetings and events industry. Majority of our clients and people who we speak to are on the associations side, some corporate, but also on the association side. And we are just happy that you're here to chat with us today, because we kind of talk about event technology, but definitely nowhere near scratching the surface with anything that you have going on today. So Keith, you want to say hi?
Yeah, well, hello. And I was reading through the bio going, wow, we got someone who's a lot smarter than I am. But which is good. And I'm actually glad you're here, because technology is great. And I know all the people who we interact with, clients and listeners and all that good stuff, love technology. But the one thing that no one ever pays enough attention to is security.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agreed.
Yes. So Tess, I'll let you dive in.
Okay. So Keatron, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then I'll move to the first question.
So I run a company that we do penetration testing, incident response, and forensics for, we have some Fortune 500s, but we also have some small to medium business clients as well. So we have a wide variety of different client bases, which, really leads to different levels of security maturity, we like to call it. So generally you see the smaller companies kind of behind the curve on it. And then the bigger companies have big budgets and a lot of money and a lot more at stake a lot of times. So they have invested, a lot more into their security programs and things like that. So what happens is they bring us in as a outside, third party to test that security to see if it meets requirements. Some of it is regulatory. Some companies are under legislation where they have to have these tests done. Some of it's voluntary, just because they do care about customers' information. And then a lot of times it's industry specific. Like if you take credit cards as a form of payment, there is a law called Hipaa, which means that you have to meet a certain level of security to be able, or not Hipaa, sorry, PCI, that says that you have to meet a certain level of security. And then if you're a hospital or an insurance firm, there's Hipaa that deals with patient privates, confidentiality and privacy, and you have to have a certain level of security around that. So we test for those things. Most of the testing that we do is not regulatory. We do some of that. That's like our low-hanging fruit stuff. But a lot of times the tests that we do, these are guys that are very competent. They have very mature security programs. So they're just looking to go to next level past checking a mark off to see if they're secure. I come from the intelligence community. That's my background. I did a lot of offensive type of work. And offensive means that we were going after targets and things like that to get intel and get information. So that's how I got started years ago.
Oh, wonderful. We are, again, so happy to have you here. So I'm going to move to the first question. So in the wake of the world consuming content virtually, because we have to now, right? Whether people are ready for it or not, and Zoom recovering from security missteps, and I should say mistakes or missteps, and our fellow event profs having to produce the events virtually, what should we be doing kind of at a minimum and looking for, one with us internally having to produce, and then looking for a company to partner with, like if we were going to partner with a Zoom or someone else to do the events, what should we be looking for or asking them?
Well, and if I could just add a little bit to that question, should everyone be freaking out about, Zoom's minor things that they're trying to fix? Yeah, I don't know. I guess, yeah.
Or is it minor or is it major? I mean,
yeah,
those are the kinds of
things. Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it.
Yeah, so the first part of that question, one of the things that you should ask your partners is before you sign that contract, just ask them, we'd like to know what your security posture is. Do you have security tests done? Are you looking out for these things? Can we see the results of those tests, or what the experts had to say about your security? And if they're a competent, reputable company, they will usually already have something prepared like that. And really, it's just a matter of you asking for it so that you can get it and have it on record. So that if something happens, you suffer some type of loss due to a security issue, you have a written statement somewhere, right, that you can that your counsel can kind of fall back on to help you seek damages and stuff like that. But as far as trying to get out on the front lines and prevent, some malicious adversary that's very skilled from getting you, that's just not a realistic thing. I think really the point that we really need to stress is it's more about, doing due diligence, doing due care, asking those basic questions, and putting yourself in a position to where you can respond and detect these things when they happen. And hopefully that partner can help you with that. And if you notice with Zoom, even one of the things that they recently added is in your meeting, there is a security tab or security button that you can click on, and you can say lock meeting. So it actually, even if you don't have a password or anything like that set up, you can lock new people from joining that meeting at that point. And that's a very recent add-on. I just saw that show up like last week or something. Yeah. So, but also, there's just some things that we should be doing ourselves. First of all, even if you look at WebEx, GoTo, or any of those other competing products, I noticed that most organizations, when they set up these meetings, they don't set up a password or a real good password, anything like that. They set these meetings up very last minute, haphazardly, so they just want to get it done. They have older executives that have troubles entering passwords and things, so they leave them unlocked. So I don't think it's just a Zoom problem. I think Zoom just happened to be the one that got popped with it this time.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, it's kind of pulled to the forefront that, wait a minute, you mean you weren't password protecting your meetings in the first place? That's kind of not all the way Zoom's fault there.
Well, and I actually had a client say to me the other day, it's like, oh, it was for an event registration thing. And they're like, well, why does it have a two-factor authentication? That is such a pain. And it's like, but it's for you.
We see that all the time, though.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so I think that's it. Just asking them, what is your security posture? Are you doing anything to prevent people from jumping into these meetings? Because we're going to do things on our side, but we want to know that you're partnering with us on the security as well. Zoom's a great product. It was kind of the first one to really put video first as the initiative with how they rolled it out. And I'm actually teaching a mobile forensics course to some federal law enforcement agents today, right now, using Zoom. I have another meeting set up that I'm doing that through, but we're using Zoom to do that right now.
Yeah. And so actually, as a security expert, as long as you take all the precautions you should take, common sense precautions, you're comfortable still using Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think there's any more risk. I'll put it this way. There's nothing that's happened with Zoom in the last 30 days or so that's made me even remotely think about, I'm going to switch products. It's not been that serious. I think there's a lot of people that don't understand security that are looking at it in a way that's not necessarily accurate as to what was actually going on. And really, it's just like when people say Windows is, bad for security, Linux or Apple is better. It's really just a matter of the fact that at one point in time, Windows was 95% of the desktops in the world. So from a hacker perspective, if I'm going to write an exploit, I'm going to write one that's going to give me 95% of the world.
Right. So the biggest bang for the buck.
Right.
Exactly. So with the rise in popularity of Zoom over the last 2 or 3 years, and then the tremendous rise over the last 30, 60 days from everybody working from home, it was just a target of opportunity. It's the one that everybody's using. So as a hacker, I'm going to go after Zoom because I know that's where I'm going to get the most people.
Right. Yeah. And Keith and I have always come from that theory and perspective. And you probably have seen us chuckle and laugh with each other as you're talking, because it's a sigh of relief on one. And then also, we have said the same thing in our sessions when we're talking to our event profs as well, which is, you might want to go with the company, right, Keith? That actually got attacked, because at least they had a hole and they're trying to fill a hole and do something about it, as opposed to the ones you may or may not know.
And that's have some issues with Zoom, right? I mean, everyone is jumping ship, right? They're going, I'm going to go use this. Well, okay, you're going over to that, and you don't know what their security is. You might be jumping from someone who is at least aware of their problem into somewhere where they're not doing anything.
Right.
It's
absolutely.
I actually see someone who is complaining about Zoom every night. They're posting videos from TikTok.
Well, part of one of the things I used to do for the government is we write 0 days, exploits that nobody else knows about.
Yeah.
I've written exploits for smart TVs, to hack into TVs and things like that. And I can tell you pretty conclusively here that every major product out there, if someone wants to get into it, there's already been exploits written to get into it. It's just,
as you say that,
you just don't know it. No one,
right.
Maybe you don't know it yet,
right?
Because the part of the game is they don't want you to know it.
Right? Oh, of course.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. It brings me joy, because those are all the same words that said 100 times to people, because they get so scared. and especially in our industry, because we're overall, Keith, I would call us a low-tech industry compared to other industries, and we have been the evangelists who've taken them to try to help them with that and kind of hold their hands and make them feel comfortable with it. So,
yeah,
about that. Keith, you want to ask him the second question?
Yes. Let's see. I'm going to read it from here so I get it right. But it's everyone says to be safe, do this, don't do that, but no one ever talks about how common security breaches are. What can we do, Tess and I and others, to convince the associations and companies that we deal with to take security seriously? And I can actually, to add to my question, they'll use for event registration, they'll use a great third-party service, right? That's very secure, handles attendee data very, very well. And then they're emailing Excel spreadsheets with all of their attendee data. I actually had someone, they emailed me a spreadsheet that, I kid you not, it had date of birth, passport numbers, like all of this information. How can, until someone gets hit, what can people do to convince them that this is actually an issue and something that they should be looking out for?
And Keatron, just so you know how we sit, we're all independent. So they would be those associations and companies would be our clients. So
correct.
Them emailing,
yes.
It would be emailing him outside, not internally.
Yes, not internally. I'm actually, I would be, or they send it to the company that handles like their airfare,
right.
Or their airlift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's going to be something that's going to be harder for you to control. You can kind of do it just a little bit through awareness, like maybe once a month, send out like a newsletter or something, highlighting some visible data breaches that's happened and how it happened. That's about the best you can do, because when you're dealing with a diverse group like that, one of the challenges that you have is really security perspective is formed by culture. And different companies and different organizations and different backgrounds have different culture. So they look at it differently, and their habits are going to be based on what that is. So really, it's a matter of just constant awareness, a very regular, consistent awareness campaign of, like I said, it could just be an email once a month to just highlight a few security breaches that happen. Remember, guys, to set your security on your Zoom meeting to only allow, the people that you want, just things like that. And maybe once a year, do like a 1 hour webinar for them for free, to have someone like me or someone else come in and do a demonstration of, I'm going to send you all this email. The minute you click on it, the minute you open that email, even if you don't click on any links, I own your computer. It doesn't take you downloading anything, just opening the email. It's over. I own that box at that point. So a lot of times I found it very effective to do that and let them see it happen in real time. And then at least they're scared for 6 months, right? 6 months later.
And then you come back and drop something else on them.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's, we have short-term memory. We're used to short news cycles now, social media, all this data coming and going. We're just on a short cycle way of digesting information nowadays. So we kind of have to adjust to that in security awareness.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you would also say the same thing for the company sending that or that kind of training offered out to their third-party vendors as well?
Yep.
Yeah. And internally, I think, you actually made a couple of good points actually that I will actually take away now and use with my clients is, recommend, there's one company I actually talk to their IT people a lot. These are suggestions that I know that they're frustrated as well. So I can make those suggestions. So those are great.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we have got about 6 minutes left. Keith, I know you wanted to ask him something burning. Please do so at this time. But after that, Keatron, I would like you to talk about yourself, what you have on the horizon. I know that you're an author, and you did tell us a little bit about what you're working on, but some things that projects you may be working on in the future, or things you're really interested in, and hopefully this will be a good entree into our world.
Well, my actual burning question is actually it's a practical question when it comes to talking to people about security. How common is hacking? So if you take a big company and any big large company, how often and this goes to, so we can explain to event profs how common it is. How often are they repelling attacks? people always look at it as, oh, it'll happen someday. But is it a someday, or is it happening all of the time and they have to defend against it?
Yeah, it's happening all the time. And to be honest with you, if you have conversations with the security people inside companies that I would say have a mature security program, the conversation is never, how we're going to keep them out. The conversation is, we know they're already in.
Oh, we froze on him a little bit. So we're going to wait for him to come back and join us. Let's see. See if we can. Keith, you still there? Keith, are you still there?
Here she comes.
It's me. Look, we are talking about cybersecurity and I dropped and I'm reporting.
But Tess, I jumped right in and I'm like, and I think Tess was going to ask you about your projects and your book and what you got going on.
Right. So, but I'm hoping, we get the recording piece of it. I'm sorry. And I did nothing so that our viewers and our listeners will know I did nothing. I'm hardline, plugged in. I did nothing.
Yeah.
Actually, the host duties just.
Yeah.
Okay, here I go again.
Published that actually got a lot of traction. A lot of people still use.
There it is.
We were talking about getting kids into cybersecurity. How do you identify the kids that might be the ones, right? Just because a kid is a good gamer isn't going to make them good at this. What are some of the skills that the kids need? Is it the math? Is it, what are the things that you're looking for in
Well, yeah, I mean, I used to look for math accelerators and stuff like that, but really it's what I found is the people that are most successful and do the best are the ones that have just good problem solving skills. And sometimes that's people that are not even mathematical, or initially they're not technical at all. My best pen tester is a young lady that had a background in liberal arts, but her approach to problem solving made her a good candidate for doing this type of work, because it really is all about problem solving and having that tenacity to just not give up and keep trying when you can't figure something out.
So you're going to train me to be a hacker?
Absolutely.
Yay! That's my dream.
That's I was telling my son is 14, and I'm like, the coolest people are white hat hackers, man.
They are coolest.
Tell him he'll make the most money he can make with the least amount of college doing cybersecurity.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, I know people that I've got college degrees, but I know people that that never went to college, went to junior college, and they're making well over $300,000-$400,000 a year doing this type of stuff.
Yeah, well,
that's right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good. Well, I'm assuming that we're all set. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience at all?
Not at all. I do have to get back to my.
And we're actually right on time.
Yep.
So we are looking forward.
We're all awesome.
I know, we're definitely. So we are looking forward to having you again for part 2. And we again thank you for your time in between all the wonderful things that you're doing for us in the world to keep us safe.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. So Keith, wasn't that fun?
Oh my God, he's awesome. He's so awesome. What a cool guy. And now I'll put my gun.
The end of the show. Just wanted to let you all know, for a transcript and to learn more, we have a lovely little landing page, and it's called the Event Tech Pull-Up. So please join us and share information on what we're doing here. Keith, you want to sign out as well?
Yeah, actually, I kind of thought we had, so I was kind of like going on with my day.
Well, you see, that's why we are the best at what we do. Because we can keep the audience going, we can laugh at each other, and
exactly. You know, it's not. You got to be having fun, or it ain't no fun.
It's no fun. So join us again and share. You all have a great day.